Today's show is dedicated to the 66 absent friends who went to a game 47 years ago and never came back. Gone but never forgotten. Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, the podcast that was full of optimism going into the last Old Firm game. This week on Heart and Hand, okay, maybe not full, but well, you know, we did tell you, so we're claiming that. Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name is David Edgar. I am your host, and I'm joined this week by my A-team. First up, pod regular, Mr. Alex Staff.
How you doing, David? You good?
I'm grand, mate. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to yourself and all the listeners as well.
Yeah, I should have done that. Happy New Year, listeners. And also joining us for his flagship show debut is Adam Thornton.
Hi, David. Hi, Alex. Happy New Year.
Same to you, my friend. Now, big pressure debut today. I've tossed you in sort of David Bates style, Adam, into our post Old Firm special. Now, some people might be wondering, because I used to be one of the people who said I don't like the term Old Firm, I don't like being associated with that mob at the moment, and now I'm using the term Old Firm sort of every second sentence and almost ending sentences with it, Old Firm. But it's because it annoys Celtic fans. And Alex, I think that if you've got an opportunity to do that, Old Firm, you should do it.
You're correct, Old Firm.
Yes, absolutely.
It's too easy.
Isn't it just madness, Adam, that the way that, you know, that they will take anything and find a reason to be upset by it?
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. The whole Glasgow Derby thing is pretty hilarious, Old Firm. But
I know.
Yeah, any opportunities are good with me.
Yeah, exactly. So Old Firm special here today. There's a few of them actually will be tuned in that their ears are bleeding at the moment. They'll be firing off a disgusted tweet as we speak to that. So there'll be steam rising in the East End of Glasgow right now off keyboards. But we went into the game massive underdogs, I think, deservedly given our recent performances, and I thought we started really well. Opening 10 minutes, I thought Rangers, more about attitude than anything else, we looked as though we wouldn't be cowed or bullied. Celtic began to dominate the first half, I thought, in terms of territorial and in terms of possession. They had the better chances, it must be said. Some good stops by Wes, some good defending. Rangers lost Bruno Alves to injury, and David Bates then came on, but David Bates, I thought, went on to have an absolutely standout game, probably beaten for me in the ratings only by James Tavernier. And Celtic really should have gone in at least one up with a chance spurned by Scott Sinclair, who's missed basically an open goal from a few yards. However, at the start of the second half, something really changed. Rangers fought their way back in and evened the territorial sort of game, and then after about 10 minutes began to just totally dominate the match. There was a spell round about the 60th minute where I think you could see that Rangers were absolutely in control and realising it, and then we went for Celtic. Two great saves from Craig Gordon, where he's stopped one from James Tavernier and one from Alfredo Morelos, and Alfredo's also missed a header from another delightful cross from the right side. And Celtic brought on Lee Griffiths for the clearly I want to leave Moussa Dembele, but he couldn't get anything going either. Celtic struggled to put anything together in an attacking sense in the second half, and in the end, I know people have been saying a draw was probably a fair result, and it probably was, but I would say that for us, having ended with all the momentum, having missed some good chances, there was this strange feeling of going into a game, Alex, where you're thinking, God, I hope we don't get badly turned over. At half-time going, well, I would take a draw right now, and then at full-time thinking, God, we could have won that. We should have won that.
Yeah, there's always a bit of immediacy when you're judging a game. In terms of, as you say, that second half was clearly ours. And I think the moment of the match, when people look back on it, because it was a 0-0 draw and there wasn't that much controversy or anything like that, the moment of the match is going to be the Morelos header and Gordon save. That's the one that will be remembered from the game. And 99 times out of 100, that's getting in. It really was a 1 in 100 save from him. So, I think you're right. It was it was that feeling of, that growing feeling of hope throughout the game and kind of enjoying what we were watching, whilst also I don't know how you guys felt, but I certainly had that slight gnawing fear that they just had that little bit of quality they hadn't shown yet, and it was they were going to sneak a win, but in truth, in the second half they created nothing.
I'll be honest, when Morph came on towards the end, I did think that it would be just like the thing for him to come on and, a wee bit of quality in the box and put away a shot from a tight angle or whatever, but he couldn't get into it either, and a lot of that was to do with our defence, our much maligned and deservedly maligned defence, Adam, who performed at a level that all four of them, performed at a level that they haven't often shown this season. And I think that for me, Tab was man of the match, but I thought that Bates ran him close, Wilson was excellent, and Declan John, who has had several really poor defensive displays, was excellent and really fought for every ball, and they won their battles.
Yeah, I think I was actually going to pick out John. I think the other three I think have shown that on occasion they can play really well defensively, and when they're consistent and when they're attuned to it, they do give good performances. But I've not been impressed with John defensively at all. However, he was fantastic at the weekend there. He kept Forrest pretty quiet. He was always winning the ball, kind of last ditch, but he had enough pace to get through. Really, really impressive. Both fullbacks were great. Bates, I thought Bates was really, really good, but we spoke about it before. You know exactly what you're going to get. It's not going to be fancy. He never gets caught in possession. He's always pretty decent with his passing. He doesn't try anything too fancy. He's just a solid defender. Wilson, I thought, even though I was critical of him the last time I was on, I thought he did very well. He was caught under the ball a couple of times in the first half for a couple of the Celtic chances, but we got away with it, and I thought he was fantastic as the game moved on. Yeah, definitely.
Alex, where did the lack of panic come from? Because that's a more composed Rangers display. In fact, I'll call it now. That was the most composed Rangers display I've seen this season, and it came in probably the most frenetic match. I mean, where does that sort of thing come from?
Psychologically, they were able to just go out with nothing to lose, which is very, very rare for a Rangers team. Especially this season at home. It's felt like there's always been a pressure. There's been very few games at home this season where you've went in and thought, well, this is no problem at all. We can just enjoy this game. There's always been a reason why we've needed to win, or there's been numerous injuries, or something's made the game that bit bigger. And then with the home crowd as well, the panic kind of sets in with some of these guys. But I would imagine they talk about that argument at half time. Making a big difference between the players, and I'm sure we'll touch on that. But
yeah, let's do that now. Let's do that now. For those who may not have read and with a lot of people abroad, just tell the listeners what you're referring to.
Yeah, Graham Murphy mentioned after the match in a couple of his interviews that at half time the players essentially done all the work. They went in. The rumour is, I don't know, that this is coming from other people. The rumour is Danny Wilson led it. And they just had a very frank discussion, let's say, had a real go at each other at half time and came out in the second half. I think it was clear from everyone, from every player on the park, that they took something from that and they were determined to turn around the level of performance and get some sort of result. Now, I don't know, David, how many, obviously there was only a couple hundred able to fit into the Loudon for the Kevin Thompson live pod, so I don't know how many have listened to it since he edited and sent that out, but the most telling thing for me that night was when Kevin Thompson spoke about how Walter Smith never came into the dressing room.
Yeah, he didn't need to. That's what he said.
Yeah, he basically said he'd come in like once in pre-season and that was it. And the dressing room ran itself, and you had players like Barry Ferguson and David Weir and himself. And I think he was playing his own influence down a little bit because he's kind of like that. But it was telling to me. It was rather interesting that Walter didn't have to go into that dressing room. If they played poorly in the first half, he didn't have to go in there and say anything because they would know it and they would sort it. And we've seen, if you look back at that time, there was many a game where we didn't start very turned it round. So it was good to hear that this squad was capable of that, because I think most people have been very, very critical of not just the ability and consistency, but the attitude has been, one of this team's not got any mental strength, or they kind of wilt under a bit of pressure. It was good to see that they were able to do that. But as I was saying earlier, it was a bit of a free hit in some respects, and that might have helped it as well. There wasn't any expectation to get a result. So in that way, that kind of frees up a little bit as well. you know, and you're able to go out and do a bit more when you're the underdog.
Adam, Danny Wilson is a guy that you and I have both criticised in the past, not because either of us think he lacks ability, because he doesn't. He has all the attributes to be a good centre half. He just rarely puts it together. Now, that was a captain's performance from him, because what concerns me about Danny Wilson a lot of the time is you hear a lot from people who defend him that he is great if he's got someone next to him who, you know, will lead him through a game, and my take's always been he's 26 now, you know, he shouldn't need a nursemaid. And on Saturday he was the senior pro and looked at every inch.
Yeah, maybe it's more a case of he needs a physical presence next to him rather than a leader. Maybe it's not the two go hand in hand, but maybe he's not the tallest, he's not particularly great in the air, he's also not particularly quick, but he can read the game well to an extent. So maybe it's just that he needs someone 6 foot plus next to him, heading away the ones that he doesn't get. So maybe it's more a case of he needs the physical presence rather than an actual experienced head next to him, because he certainly didn't play like he was missing someone on Saturday. I find the half-time argument a bit, I'd really love to know the context of it, because we were doing okay. We obviously the last half hour Celtic came into it and they had some of the better chances. I would say, apart from the Morelos header, I think they had a couple of chances that were better. So we were doing okay from that point of view. So I'm quite interested to know what the context of the argument was, because I'm fairly sure we've been doing worse in other games at half time this year and we've not heard anything. So,
but wasn't it great then that for once they didn't settle for we're doing okay, yeah, and they didn't hide behind, oh, that was all right, we're not losing, and look, if you like, for the lowest acceptable standard, and then try and work off that they instead went, this isn't good enough, and they went out and dominated large parts of that match. For me, and I know that you're a big advocate of looking at the game in its entirety, Alex, because that's one of the reasons why on Heart and Hand we'll watch the games twice, because, you know, you can't, I don't know about you guys, but I watch Rangers, you know, and very rarely do I notice the opposition on first viewing. It's more about what we do. Like, if someone scores a great goal, I tend to see what we didn't do, because that's what I'm watching. But watching the game back, Scott Brown dominated the first half. He absolutely did. He won every 50-50. He won every second ball. He kept Celtic on the front foot pressing us. In the second half, he was forced to drop back to take the ball off the centre halves, which he hasn't had to do in an Old Firm game in a long time, and it was because our pressing had pushed and compacted Celtic so much that Stuart Armstrong, who I do really rate, incidentally, I think he's a cracking player, obviously don't like before anyone accuses me of unstaunchness, but you know, he is a good player. That was the least effective I've ever seen him in an Old Firm match, and it was because Celtic's ball winner and, if you like, the guy who locks up their back door was forced 30 yards further back. That left Armstrong completely isolated in the centre of midfield, and they could not get anything going.
No, they couldn't, and you're right, it was. We, as Rangers fans, it's easy, and it's probably correct to be very scathing and dismissive of Scott Brown, but you know, I've always maintained, I think quite a few people have, he is a good player. He's not a great player, he is a bit overhyped, but he is a good player. He's nowhere near as poor as some people suggest, and he is key to how they've been playing over the past 18 months. Definitely Brendan Rodgers has got something more out of him. We kind of slapped him about a bit in the second half, actually. You know, Morelos just decided he's got to be my bitch. You know, sent him flying at one point, nutmegged him at one point. McCrory and Holt were going through him in 50-50s. For whatever reason, we just decided, you know, he wasn't getting anywhere. The most impressive thing for me was anytime Celtic played a ball back the way, it started in the first 10 minutes, and as you say, we slightly struggled after that. But for the full second half, anytime Celtic tried to keep possession by playing a ball back the way or facing their own goal, we were snapping at their heels. Every single player, closing them down, and we forced so many mistakes. And that's where Brown struggles against good teams, you know, in the European games. Anytime he's wanting to take that slight extra touch that he gets away with in Scotland,
correct,
he struggles, and we kind of looked to do that as well, you know. And that was why in the second half, as you say, he was dropping deeper and deeper to try and find himself time and space, and we weren't allowing it. And we did, you know, for most of that second half, utterly dominant. Well, we were the team defending on the halfway line, winning challenges, getting the ball wide to players for crosses. Yeah, it was impressive in the second half, actually, and actually, as you point out rightly, a large part of that was taking him out of the game.
You're the president, Adam, of the James Tavernier fan club, and have almost sexual man feelings on him. So you must have been delighted by what was possibly his swan song, but I would say his finest hour and a half in a Rangers shirt.
Oh, he was just unreal.
You better have both hands on the table where I can see them while we're talking about this.
It was as if he had three lungs, just up and down the whole park, night and day, just constantly bombing up and down, and some fantastic play. Like obviously you're a fullback, get to the byline, cross the ball, but some of the ingenuity, the hooked cross from Morelos was fantastic. Nobody expected that.
No.
It was a brilliant. I think probably Morelos never even expected it. It was brilliant, and I thought as well, we're talking about leaders, and we're talking about, I wouldn't quite say captain performances, but inspiring performances, and he was one of the senior members of the back line. I feel like he stepped up big time. He struggled against Sinclair this season, last season. He's really, really struggled, and to be honest, he gives me a bit of the fear sometimes, particularly in the first game of the season against him. Doubling up with Tierney as well, but you wouldn't have noticed that Tavan Candeas hammered him. Candeas was all over Tierney.
Yeah, he
showed him up to be
correct.
not average, but he certainly made him look average on the day. And we got a lot of joy down that flank, which I was not expecting. I figured it'd be maybe the other side, but yeah, Tav was brilliant, and I still maintain if he goes, I'm going to riot, because I think he's just fantastic. And there's a lot of chat on social media, etc., about him just now, but I feel like he's worth a lot to you attacking. And a fullback for Rangers shouldn't need to be fantastic defensively. We don't need to play Kirk Broadfoot. We should have a good enough midfield centre defence to be able to accommodate somebody who can be the second most assists in the league, or can get you however many it was goals in the Championship, 15 goals a season from fullback. That's worth its weight in gold. If we keep him for a couple of seasons, we manage to get into Europe, we can develop him, we get better players there. He could conceivably earn us £4 or £5 million. It seems strange to let him go, unless he wants to, which I think you've alluded to before. But I'd be doing everything I could to keep him.
Yeah, he's not averse to move back down south, is how I've heard. It's one of these situations that Rangers certainly aren't chasing him out the door. He's not handing in a transfer request, but should a bid come in that was acceptable to all parties, then yes, I think he would go. And I don't see him signing a new deal. So I think that, given he's got 18 months left, I think that's why I reckon it'll happen here. If it doesn't happen here, it will almost certainly happen this summer, unfortunately, Adam. So keep you away from sharp things when that sort of thing comes up.
Yeah, just a final point on that. I think if that is the case, then I think he probably really needs to go in this window. Let us get a proper scouting network and some options for right back for the summer, and maybe a bit of cover coming in for just now. But I think if that's the case, then he would need to go in this window, as much as I'm very, very upset about it.
The excellent SPFL Radar on Twitter, which is a great stats site and really breaks the game down for those of you who are interested in that sort of thing, and I am, points out, Alex, that Daniel Candeas, for all his flaws, makes 2 clear-cut expected goal chances every 90 minutes on average, and nobody else in this league does that. I thought that on Saturday we saw everything that endeared him to us, because I think the vast majority of Rangers fans really liked Daniel Candeas up until maybe the last month, where he has not looked himself at all, for whatever reason. We haven't heard an injury, but he just has not been the same player. That was everything we like about Daniel Candeas in one 90-minute showcase.
Oh, he was outstanding. I would like to just touch very briefly on a Tavernier thing, because I just want to point one thing out that people don't really bring up enough, in my opinion. You talk about these games being winning personal battles, and you know, obviously we bring up Candeas because he won his battle against Tierney, but Tavernier won the battle against Sinclair so much that Rodgers had to hook him. Rodgers had to sub him, because
correct.
At that point in the second half, it was just after Tav's run and cross for Morelos' header, and if you watch Sinclair's effort at trying to stop that Tav run, that was a man who'd been scalped about the entire game and knew that, you know, there was no point because I'm not going to be able to stop him. So, you know, that's how you win your personal battle in a game like that. The other guy had to be subbed. But yeah, on Candace, I think it's worth noting that this is a guy who has bumped about a few clubs on loan. He's never really settled anywhere since he got his move to Benfica, and then he's kind of moved on loan to various clubs. So we don't really know if this is a kind of pattern for him, because we didn't know very much about him coming in. We don't know if part of the reason why no clubs ever really settled on him is because he's inconsistent. He starts well, he dips a bit. That might be what he does. But it's also the part. It's also the fact. There's a fact that attacking players struggle when your team's not dominating games, and we have not played well up until Saturday for weeks. It's been a good, since the second Aberdeen game, we hadn't had a good performance. So players like Candace are going to struggle when the team's not the one dominating the ball, or just all round not playing well. But you're right, on Saturday he was outstanding. In that second half, I think he would have probably fought every single Celtic fan in the stadium if it meant he was going to win a 50-50.
Yeah, he was in that mood. Definitely in that mood.
He was outstanding. He didn't. Sometimes he can go a bit too far emotionally and be a bit. I think we discussed this before. He can be a bit centred on himself rather than on the team. But on Saturday, it was all about. He was just there, as you say. He was just told, "Go sort that guy out." And he done it brilliantly, and not just we shouldn't play down the level of quality he showed as well. Some of his touches were outstanding, and if Morelos has played a better ball through to him in the first half for that one in the break, I think I was on about the 10th minute, he was through. I would have fancied him to score. In the sort of mood he was in, he was really good all round, excellent in fact. And it was just because Tavernier was absolutely amazing that he wasn't a contender for man of the match as well.
I think that cross in the second half for the chance that, I wouldn't say it was Windas's chance, but the one that Windows almost got in the end of, was a brilliant cross, falling right between holding the centre half. So
he can do that.
Very straight cross. I've not seen a cross like that for quite a while, but it bounced in a really awkward place. It was a brilliant delivery.
He's got that in his locker though. We've seen that. Sometimes the crosses, hit the first defender. Sometimes they go into the stand, and then other times they are absolutely inch perfect.
That's the nature of crossing. In truth, that's why somebody like David Beckham in the past was a very special player, was because he got the majority of his crosses to great areas, but most players don't. But Candace, he's very good at that early cross. That's, as Adam points out there, that's one you don't see too often. But he doesn't need to get to the byline to get something in, and he doesn't need to be on the run to get a decent cross in either. He's very good at being pretty much stationary, getting the ball out from under his feet and whipping something in. And we've scored a couple of goals this season like that. The Dundee one, the Windass scored the header, sticks out as being similar, quite deep. Didn't look as though there was a cross on, and there he finds a player for a simple finish. He's good at that. And if we had if you can imagine somebody that has crossing ability with a Puzzle or a Jelavic type striker in the middle, they would score a barrel load off the end of him, because they were so good in the air and very good at winning that battle. And he would hit, he doesn't need to be accurate for a player like that, whereas the likes of Morelos and Windass aren't that strong in the air compared to that. So that's why his expected goals is much higher than his assists are at the moment.
I think that was the plan with Herrera. Looking back, I think that Pedro felt that Herrera would be that guy, but obviously maybe he was in Mexico, but the different nature of the Scottish League, where most defenders will have grown up doing that sort of defending as their bread and butter, and maybe not so much abroad, which is why our defenders are great at being able to handle high balls into the box, but struggle with forwards who are good on the ball, who quick, pacey, who play round them. So it's maybe just a cultural thing, but I think he did think Herrera would be the guy who could possibly get on the end of those crosses. Now I'm going to touch now on back to the defence, and the Ginger Maldini, David Bates, my son. I have for a long time said, and people will remember my rant on here, that I don't get the abuse that he gets. I think it's really, really unfair on him. I don't think that he is the second coming of Richard Gough, but nor do I think some of the comments on him bear any relation to the displays we get from him. And I think on Saturday you saw what David Bates is about, which is purely defending. He is not great with the ball at his feet. Kenny Miller alluded to it in his post-match interview that it's something he needs to work on. But he loves defending, Adam. He adores getting first to a ball, nicking it, handling his man, winning his duel. And on Saturday, the boy didn't put a foot wrong. And maybe it was because it was his type of game where there was a lot of defensive work to do, as opposed to maybe, but well, there was when he came on, but there wasn't by the time he finished, because him and Wilson had so resolutely won the battle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a perception thing with him. You see him and he looks a bit gangly and a bit awkward, and I'll think back to, I think it might have been Kilmarnock he made his debut, and there was a deliberate tactic from Kilmarnock. You seemed to give him the ball at every opportunity. To Boyd was coming over to the other centre half. I think it might have been Hill at the time, and it was a basically give him the ball. And to be fair, he didn't look great that night. He was being charged with possession by playing the ball out from the back. We didn't have a midfield. Now we've got a couple of decent runners in midfield who'll come back and get the ball. He looks very, very assured, but I think it's a perception thing. You compare him to Rob Kiernan from last year. Rob Kiernan thought he was Baresi, and was prone to just moments of
completely turning off. Yeah,
totally just turning off. Moments of catastrophe. It's never going to happen with Bates. He looks so concentrated. He might struggle to pass it more than 10 or 15 yards, but he doesn't have to. He just plays the ball, even back to the goalie. He's pretty assured. There was a little flick back to Ford in the second half that was really, really intelligent and fantastic. I think he's a really, really promising prospect, and I think hopefully the upcoming news about his contract will be good news, because I think we do need to get him tied down, and he could be. He definitely is now part of the first team reckoning.
Alex, do you want to piss all over our excitement?
Slightly.
Thought so.
Long-term, I've said this before, and I'll maintain it even after how well he played. I don't think long-term David Bates will be a Rangers centre half. He'll certainly have a good career. You're right though. He enjoys defending, and you'd be surprised how many defenders don't actually like defending.
Cardoso
doesn't. No, he doesn't. Cardoso doesn't. Danny Wilson doesn't. Rob Kiernan didn't. We've had a number of them recently, of guys who don't actually enjoy the defensive side of the game. They want to get time and space on the ball and play passes, and you know, and you can understand that, because that's the enjoyable part of football. Defending's, take it from someone who has clogged his way through a rather, shall we say, rubbish career at Sunday League football over the years as a centre half. Defending is rubbish. It's crap. You're just chasing wee guys about a pitch most of the time, you know. It's Bates is the sort of guy instinctively very good positionally, you know, but he's a good siege defender. He's the sort of guy, and his best games for Rangers have came, if you think back to 3-0 under Pedro away to Aberdeen, his best game there, you know, for Rangers was on Saturday. Games where for large parts of the match we were under pressure, and you know, that's where his defending, that's where his style of defending comes to the fore, and he's very good. But the reason why I don't think long term will make it at Rangers is simply the other limitations that he's got. It's the sort of complaints that Celtic fans have about Boyata. The exact same tactic Adam talks about earlier is used against Celtic all the time now. Press everybody aside from him, just let him have the ball, because he's not very good on it. And he's never learned, and he never will learn.
But does that not make him? But does that not make him a good weapon for your trips to Pittodrie, for your trips to Parkhead? You know, where you're going to have to do more defending.
Does, yeah, but the last thing you want to be doing is changing a back four for various games over the season. Usually, you know, you usually want a centre half partnership that's going to play 98% of the games plus, as long as they're fit.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So yeah, I get where he comes in, and I do understand it. And I also understand at the moment that we're not exactly a team, you know, that's rich in options and can afford to say no to a player who has, you know, his abilities and his sort of level of consistency. But I just think long term, you'll see somebody like Ross McCrory go in at centre half and be that player, you know, that you need there.
I think Ross McCrory's a more talented
will
player.
Do well elsewhere, probably.
Yeah, and he will have a good career even if it isn't with us. But I think at the moment, as you say, that I think there's potential there because he is young and he can get better. And I think he is getting better. I think he's improved over the calendar year 2017. So I think that there is something there. But I would agree that Ross McCrory, who we've raved about, deservedly so, because I think he showed on Saturday again the attitude that he has, and there's something that just marks that boy out as special. And you can't put your finger on what it is, but you know it when you see it. And I think Ross McCrory definitely has it. Now, sorry, go on, Adam.
I could just make a little point on Bates there. I do kind of agree with what Alex is saying. However, we should be trying to build complementary partnerships. To me, and a partnership of, I think I mentioned this the last time I was on. You look at some of the players that we've got in the team, and technically, looking at them on paper, their skill sets do quite complement. Wilson and Bates, I think, is a pretty good example. One of them can go and attack the ball, the other one can sweep up. One's physical, one's better on the deck. You look at the midfield, and you look at McCrory as the destroyer. You might have Jack or Holt and as the kind of shuttler, and then maybe Doran's a little bit further forward, or Penna, if we can get Doran's fit again. And that's the type of thing I think we should be aiming for. Again, if you go to the wings, you've got Candeas on one side, who's the winger. Windass or Jamie Murphy, if he comes in, is more of a kind of inside forward. So I feel like we should be trying to get complementary partnerships. I completely get Alex's point, but we're not going to be able to get, I don't think, a dominant ball playing or dominant ball playing centre half. So we're going to have limitations. I think Bates is a decent option. He's only just turned 21, which is still really, really young for a centre half. He could have 10, 15 years left easy. So I feel like he's worth persevering with. I also kind of think we might not. I think if we get to summer, we'll probably buy another centre half, even if Russell Martin is coming in on loan.
I was going to say we're buying a centre half now, so
yeah, we might not persevere with him, but I really think we could do a lot worse.
Adam, I just want to tell you that as a football hipster, there, you might be getting kicked out of the club for your unforgivable mispronunciation of Pena.
Oh dear.
Right, Pena. My goodness, I expect that from Scott, but come on, that's amateur hour. Now, bit of controversy here, lads. Wouldn't be Rangers without it. There are always a multitude of opinions on Rangers among Rangers fans. As I always say, you get 10 bears stranded in a desert island, you'll have 11 RSCs by the end of the week. But two specific opinions have formed on one player. And I'll play devil's advocate here because I want to hear what both of you think on it. Bruno Alves on Saturday limped off injured, and is injured. Has hurt his thigh. And there were two schools of thought. The first one, the loud one, was immediately he shat that. Typical, he always does this. Sick of that cunt. And the second one was, what are you talking about? He's genuinely injured. He's a great player. You just can't see it. So I want both your takes on this, and we'll start off with Alex. And I'll play devil's advocate.
You played devil's advocate. He certainly never shat it. He was definitely injured. I think the fact the guy left the stadium in crutches pretty much sums that.
That's just selling an injury. You watch wrestling as well as I do.
I do.
You wear the neck brace for weeks.
Kayfabe's dead, David. Do you know what I mean?
No, not to Bruno. Not to Bruno. He was sitting there at 11:45 going, how will I make my flight? Right, I need to be off for 12:15. But do you understand where the perception has come from, though?
I do get where the perception has come from, but I also think the perception is extremely unfair. And I like Alves, and I think that a lot of this seems to be born from the first Old Firm game of the season, where he was injured and then got that flight out to go and get himself fit. He went away to a doctor that he trusts, I'm guessing, in Spain, and tried to get himself fit while the game was on. And then you'd Chris Boyd giving it the whole, he should have been in that dressing room helping young McCrory through the game. You won't be saying that about Kenny Miller's stint in the Sky studio, will he? But
then Kenny Miller was about the club.
He was.
And don't make me defend Kenny Miller. Right?
Yeah, but he wasn't in that dressing room at half time talking to anybody. He was eyeing up Bailey McQueen's tits, which isn't a very bad thing.
No, what we would all have done. No, I agree.
But I think I like Alves as a defender. I think that there was two things I think are holding him back this season. One, and I said this at the start of the season, and I think that people forget, he has played a hell of a lot of football this past 3 or 4 years. He's barely had a summer break any time at all, and he was going to need managed. he was going to need a bit of time. We tried to give him that at the start of the season by not bringing him in straight away, giving him an extra couple of weeks and stuff. But even that, at his age, he's played a hell of a lot of games. If you consider World Cups, European Championships, Confederations Cups, he's played a lot in the summers of late until he's getting towards the end of his career. So I'm not surprised there's niggling injuries and things like that. And secondly, he's still adjusting to Scottish football. You know, he's not. It's a different signing from a Davy Weir and a Ugo Ehiogu in the past, who knew how the British game was played. This is a guy who hadn't done that before. He's still adjusting. For me, when he's got a run of games and he's playing well, he's absolutely dominant, and he's exactly the sort of defender Adam just spoke about, a dominant ball-playing centre-half. The issue is he's getting niggling injuries and he comes in and out of the team, and at times his performances struggle because of that. You should be expecting that, in truth. It's just because we built him up in the summer to sort of godlike status because, you know, he's a much bigger signing than we've made in years. But, you know, he's still got flaws, and he's a 36-year-old defender who is going to struggle with injuries because he needs a bit of time off, frankly.
So that's Alex coming up for one side of the debate, Adam. As I say, I'm interested in what you... So I'll put my devil's advocate. Don't hate tweet me, people, please. But with my hat on, Alex says, good defender, committed, just a wee bit injury prone, played a lot of football. I will say man bun wearing Ponce, doesn't want to be here, hasn't been above 6 out of 10 any time apart from the second half against Hibs. At sometimes has looked downright disinterested and would be better off short of him.
I think I'm on Alex's side, if I'm honest.
Oh, shockingly.
I don't see it at all. I think it's a whole expectations versus reality thing that we've seen with Barton, we've seen with Garner, we've seen with Pena. Pena! Yeah, damn it. Pena. I think it's that. I think if they don't come in, and same with, we see it with Graham Dorrans as well, if they don't come in and hit the ground running, if they've played in England, if they're over £1 million transfer fee, if they're this, if they're that, I mean, Alves' pedigree, fair enough. However, it's still a brand new country, you still need to get used to it. I get he's been about everywhere, but I don't think he's been anywhere near terrible. I would agree with your assertion that probably what I would expect is the Hibs second half, and he's not been that, but I don't think he's been anywhere near a bad... He wasn't even a buy, so anywhere near a bad acquisition at this point. I kind of take the point about Miller and the whole with Alves flying off to Spain, but if that's and gets him back quicker, I'm kind of okay with that. I also feel like it might be rumours, etc., but was Alves not kind of one of the first to speak out against Caixinha, and he kind of sided with all our players? It doesn't really sound like someone who's working his ticket. He could have sided with Caixinha.
That is true. He was sounded out by the board, and he said, you know, the board were trying to get a picture of what was happening. Was it just a core? Was it basically PLG versus the Monster Munch Bunch 2? And Alves did say no, he's an utter. We don't have a clue what he's on about half the time. So the players are right. No, and you're correct, that did happen.
Yeah, so I feel like if you really wanted out, that was a bit of an out for him. No, I agree, blah blah blah, blah, and get banished to reserves or whatever. Yeah, it seems like a strange one. I think he's a good player. I think maybe he's not been as good as we thought he was going to be, and that's part of the issue because, like you said, he got bigged up. It was the first signing in the summer, was this and that, and he just played in the. Just played for Portugal, etc. So I feel like he's just maybe not hit the stand, and that's why he's getting castigated a little bit.
Now, I want to talk about our boy Alfredo, and we'll leave the article till the end, which we will mention. But just on his display on Saturday, now we'll start off with you this time, Adam. He had, I thought, a really good game, with the exception of missing, obviously, the 2 good chances. Now, some people, the minority, it must be said, have said, well, you know, you judge strikers on scoring goals. However, the vast majority of Rangers fans have said, which he has been doing, and as Alex pointed out earlier, it was a fantastic save from Gordon, more really luck than anything else. You know, he spread himself and hoped. Yes, he should have scored, but he didn't. But Rangers fans overall are pretty happy with this lad. What did you take out of his display on Saturday and his overall contribution?
I thought it was really, really good on Saturday. I don't have any major problems with strikers missing chances. If you're the top goal scorer, you're missing the chances. They're still going to come along. Look how many McCoist missed. No, I've got no issue with it. Obviously, you'd like him to put away a couple of them, but he's scored in some big games so far, putting it down to being unlucky. But his overall performance was fantastic. From the nutmeg and Brown, straight through to, like we mentioned before, embarging Brown off the ball. He just shows an appetite and desire to get involved. One of the things I want to touch on about his play that I've not seen in Scotland for a while is the way that he uses his body to shield the ball is fantastic. It really reminds me of Shearer and his pomp, where he pretty much gets in front of him, gets his arse out, and nobody is touching him at all. I think he held off Boyata, maybe Dembele at some points, who are nearly eyes, and you just wouldn't even have known they were there. He swatted them away. His link-up play is good. It could be a bit better, but me, for £1 million, for a young boy coming from Finland, Colombia via Finland, I couldn't have asked for much more than what. And I just hope we can up on the wings, maybe attacking midfield, and think how much he'll score with actual contributing players playing round about him.
I'm a bit older than you, so the arse thing, the best I ever saw at it, and possibly the best in history at it, was Kenny Dalglish. And yeah, you're right, it's a good tactic to be able to do it fairly. You see players like, in our recent history, Chris Boyd would do it, but he would do it clumsily and give away a lot of fouls. Whereas Alf's great at just, you're right, getting in there, shielding the ball with his backside, and nobody's getting round him or through him, and it's fantastic. Alex, I think that we're all pretty much in agreement here, but do you get any? Would you be hypercritical or critical even of his display on Saturday?
Not critical, no. I think just that little. It's just unfortunate in some ways that he was involved in. For me, the 3 incidents. As I mentioned earlier, there was a 1-2 that with Kevin Dace that he played a bit too heavily in the first half, which would have been a great chance, and then the 2 chances that everyone's talking about in the second half. In some ways, it's just unfortunate that he's central to all of that, but the very fact that he's central to all of it just sums up how important he is to the team and the sort of performance they put in. There was absolutely no hiding, despite anything that wasn't quite coming off for him. Adam's right to point out the way he used his body. He was brilliant against Celtic, are a very strong team. They've got a lot of physical players in there. I think that's a good part of the reason why they've went the run that they did. In Scottish football terms, are quite big, and can add some technical ability to that. So he was probably the strongest looking player on the pitch, though. The one that if somebody's going to have their back to goal or use their body to shield or whatever, he was the one that looked the most capable in the entire game. So he played well. He definitely played well. For me, if he scores a goal, if he scores either of those chances, he's potentially man of the match. Just missing those takes him down, unfortunately, because he is a striker, and that's just the way of it. Plus, it's a big game as well. But I think I don't think you're hearing much criticism of him from Rangers fans at all. As you pointed out, David, there's a very small minority there. The noise seems to be coming from elsewhere. Really.
Well, yeah, let's touch on that, Alex. Then, if you'd like to point out to the listeners when I mentioned the article, what I'm referring to.
The article, as I'm sure most will know, is Bill Leckie's attempt to try and. For me, he's targeting the Rangers fans. There's certainly an argument that he was having a go at Morelos as well.
He called him a diddy, and he said he couldn't believe that we were praising him after missing the chances.
He did, yes. Now, the reason I think it was more targeted at the Rangers fans than him is because I think he was discussing more this specific game than the overall season. If you look at what he was writing, he was talking about the chances that he missed, and he should never have been missing those sort of chances. I can't believe Rangers fans would let any striker away with that. And he was almost trying to say this is how far Rangers fans have fallen in standard. But we'll let someone miss chances against Celtic and still give them a standing ovation off the pitch. But he's completely missing the wider context of the quality that he's shown this season. The fact he's a 21-year-old striker, and he did actually have a good game. It wasn't just about a couple of chances for him. So yeah, Bill Leckie, Colin saying, I think the exact line was something along the lines of, he's a diddy, but he's our diddy. Is what he thinks that Rangers fans were thinking at the time, and he wasn't even close to true. But I believe he was just looking for a reaction and trying to point at something in a game which was largely, for an Old Firm game, uneventful. Is my belief on that. But I know you guys maybe have other views on it.
I do, and I'll come to mine in a minute. Adam.
just find it baffling, to be honest. It's so smarmy, so condescending, and none of it's even really true. Like, I mean, he might be a Diddy, but he's our Diddy. He's the fucking top goal scorer in the league. Yep. Fundamentally not a Diddy. And there's a point in the article as well where he says, let me see if I can find it. He said, no other striker in series, no frontman will ever step onto two better crosses in as much space with the keeper so helpless and a massive derby hanging in the balance, only to fluff his lines both times. Well, apart from Sinclair in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. Sinclair's had an open goal.
it's just bizarre. It comes across, like Alex said, just having a go for the sake of having a go. It's not accurate. Let's have a laugh at Rangers fans again for nothing that actually makes any sense or it's not relevant at all. I think it's best ignored, to be honest. I think like Bill Leckie in general.
Well, I agree, but the thing that struck me about the tone, as you said, or you alluded to there, is it was just so nasty and so virulent, and it just doesn't chime with this, which I'm about to share with you. Lonely Bill Leckie, of course, as we know, can't get a bird. And his dating profile, though, seems to suggest he's not like that. And I'll just share some of Bill Leckie's dating profile with you. I love listening to music, singing, running, golf, watching comedy, reading and travelling. Sometimes I'm shy. Sometimes the life and soul, depends who's around. But the best thing of all is just being with people you like and everything clicking. I mean, that's nice, isn't it? You wouldn't...
Hold on a fucking second, you're running?
Well, yeah, you've got a point. What have we got here? Favourite things. Happiness is hearing a song that blows me away. Running in the rain is magic. I like book and record shops. I wear suits a lot, but not ties. Rebel. And love jeans with old Converse with smart shirts. Favourite books and movies change with my moods. About me and who I'm looking for. Was this question as hard for you as it is for me? I think the problem is that you're the only one who's finding things hard at the moment, Bill, and nobody there to help you. I mean, to see ourselves as others see us and all that Burnsy stuff. But here goes. I think I'm a nice guy with nice eyes. Oh, for fuck's sake. Who smiles a lot, works like a bear, travels a lot, puts too many demands on himself. Write a fucking good article for once. There's a demand on you cunt. And sometimes needs someone to put an arm round him and say that they've just booked a nice restaurant for tonight. It would be fucking food, wouldn't it? Love good parties with good chat, watch movies a lot and listen to loads of music. It'd be nice if you like some of the same stuff as I do, but I'm not madly coupley when it comes to personal taste. Well, you don't really have that option, Bill, do you? I'd like to meet a woman who's warm, fun, sexy and smart. Yeah, don't we all? Right? But your chances of doing so on a fucking dating site are a bit limited. Someone who'll have a right good argument then really enjoy making up. Okay, Bill, you're a cunt. Come back to me on that. You'll hopefully be equally happy slobbing about watching Grey's Anatomy. Do you have a penis, Bill? Do you need it serviced? Because Grey's Anatomy. Oh my God. I travel a lot, but I'm not exotic. I read a lot, but I hate smart arses. You could take the word arses out of that sentence, couldn't you? And be closer to the truth. I run a lot. There you go again, Alex.
No, I'm not having that.
I run a lot, but I can't stand running. Well, I believe half that. I think he's half right there.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I run a lot, but I can't stand running. I suppose a lot's a very relative term, so
yeah, for him it could be to the icy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe we shouldn't be too hard on Bill, because clearly he's got issues.
Yeah, he's the emotional type.
Very much so. He loves running in the rain, though. So, why don't you just do that, Bill? Why don't you just go on a long fucking run and give the rest of us peace, you sad bastard. Moving on then, the other thing I want to touch on is the reaction to it. Now, after the match, Rangers were accused by, among others, Chris Sutton, of over-celebrating. He said it was really sad, do you think... What was it he said? Do you think the Brighton and Newcastle fans celebrated a draw? No, because it wasn't a derby, you massive, massive tit. How can we, Adam, be accused of over-celebrating when the opposition have done a lap of honour and Lee Griffiths is running about the park waving a scarf?
think again it's just an excuse to try and have a dig with no basis in fact. Everybody that I spoke to, and I think I literally must have texted you right at final whistle saying it says it all, that I'm absolutely gutted that we got a draw.
Correct.
Everybody I've spoken to was of the same opinion. Certainly when I watched it, it was the same. We were slightly concerned towards the end that they might get a kind of sneaky goal.
They might steal it, which they would have been. They would have been stealing it.
Yeah, but I don't remember much celebration. We were happy that we gave a good performance, a performance that we would class as a Rangers performance, but there was no celebration at all, certainly from anyone I've spoken to, so it's just bullshit, really. Agreed.
Alex?
Yeah, it was mainly, I think, pointing at the away fans who, quite rightly, were very, very appreciative of the performance.
I think that's key. You both used the word, and I think it is key. It was the performance as much or more so than the result, because they fought in a way that they haven't done that's concerned us for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen the video that was kicking about on Twitter of that passage of play for about a minute and a half where we were winning every single 50-50, getting the ball out wide to Windass with ease, getting a couple of crosses in. It ended with us winning a corner. And, you know, the fans were on their feet. They were going to be on their feet anyway, but they were screaming every time we went near the ball, because it was just the sheer desire. And when your team's showing that, the crowd's going to show that, especially when you're the away fans. You know, that's just how it goes. That's exactly how football should be. Instead of having a go at us for supposedly over celebrating, someone should be turning around and saying, that's what football means right there, guys. There's a passion there. No one's sitting on their phone or got an iPad out trying to record the game or FaceTiming their pals. That's football. You know, that's what it should be. That's what people should be saying about how the away fans reacted. Not, oh, they're over celebrating a draw. Look at them. They've let their standards drop so much. Nothing like that at all. You know, that's how every set of fans should be. And that's what football needs. And to try and play it down, to deride it in any way, is just typical. Sutton, let's be honest, Sutton's even more of a wank than Bill Leckie. So, yeah. You know, if he's leading that charge, I think we can easily ignore it.
Yeah, one can't get a bird, but the other can't get a bank account. Yeah, but I would like to have a wee shout out actually to my friend Isaac Richardson, because he did say to me the day before, we're going to get something, I'm confident we'll get the win. So well done to him. He knew the score, he'd read it. Now that I think does us for the game. But now in terms of transfer rumours, there are a lot. Obviously Jamie Murphy, Stephen Naismith, Jason Cummings, Russell Martin are all being mentioned. Tav, Windass, possibly Hodgson all being mentioned as going out. But we're going to do a special on that this week, because obviously for the Thursday show we don't have the game preview, so we're going to do a transfer special. So we will cover that this week, but we're not going to cover it today. But something I think we have to cover, start off with you, Alex. Jimmy Nicholl looks set to be appointed Rangers assistant manager, and I really like Jimmy Nicholl, and I'm not unhappy at all with this appointment. But I know some people have said, oh Christ, that's, you know, Falkirk level management team that we've got at the moment. It is a bit left field. I can't disagree with that, because, you know, if he wasn't a former player, would he be considered? That's possibly a valid argument. But he is a good coach. He's highly rated as an assistant, and an assistant role is different to being a manager. And, you know, sometimes it helps to get in someone who is good at that specific role. What are your thoughts? First, start off with Alex, and then Adam, you come in.
Yeah, we touched on this in the Q&A Patreon show at the end of last week. So for anyone who, you know, has listened to that as well, apologies if any of this sounds exactly the same. But my hope is it's not just you know, oh, it's Jimmy Nicholl, let's get him in. He's got the passion, and, you know, he knows what it's all about. I don't think it's that sort of appointment at all. I think that people have looked at his record as an assistant manager with Northern Ireland. You know, we'll have done a bit of digging, asked people who know him, you know, what's he like in the dressing room, and I fully believe that it's the fact that it's so left field makes me believe that he's hired upon his ability rather than anything else. You know, he's not someone that Murty has known and has brought in because, you know, he's a pal and he can trust him. He's not someone who has been hanging around the club for years and kind of, you know, like or touting himself for it like a Barry Ferguson would have been. because it's so left field, I think that points to the fact that we've done a bit of homework here and hired someone that we believe is going to be good at the job, rather than someone who fits some other criteria that some people might have accused us of.
Adam?
Yeah, I think I've been back and forwards with it. My initial reaction was, really? Jimmy Nicholl? When it first came out. I must admit, I didn't know he was the assistant manager at Northern Ireland at the time, so that gives him a little bit of kudos in terms of still being relevant and the kind of with the relevant experience that we would need for that position. So if Michael O'Neill at Northern Ireland, the good work they've done, if he trusted Jimmy Nicholl to be his deputy there, I think Graham Murray should be in good hands as well. I feel like Alex's point, it's good to get a mesh of experience and know what it's all about, but if you just wanted that solely, you would just move John Brown into the assistant manager job. So I feel like it has been. I'd be interested, again, talking about context, I'd be interested to know how that's came about, who's kind of recommended them, whose idea would it be, because I can't imagine him and Graham Murray having crossed paths.
No, I can't find it. I've had a look for it and I can't find it. I can't find any real serious connection, bar some games against each other when one was at Millwall.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested to know what the context of it is, where it's came from, who suggested it. But an experienced hand, he's been there, done it. He's obviously played with the club before, as we've mentioned. I'm not expecting him to pull up any trees, but he could be quite a good devil's advocate to Murty, and similar to how Archie Knox, I would say, with Walter Smith, it's somebody who's coming in and he's going to be not aggressive, but he's certainly, no one's going to make a fool of him. He's going to be quite demanding, and like I said, it could be a good foil for Murty, hopefully.
Correct, and on all points, and fingers crossed, and good luck to him. Loves Rangers, and he's a really good guy, so fingers crossed on that one. Now, lads, it's New Year, and of course this is the time, although only, if you're a football fan, we worked a different calendar, but it's New Year in the traditional sense, and it's that time of year where we sit down and we say, look, what do we hope is going to happen? What are our aspirations, both personally and professionally, I suppose, but for our team this year? Alex, what to you is success this season, and where do you hope to find us this time in 12 months?
This season, second place finish would be success in my eyes. The cup's just too random. It only takes one poor performance to bump you out of that. So when people say, got to at least make the cup final or whatever, I very rarely put the cups in any sort of expectations, because anything can happen in certain cup matches, as we've seen plenty of times over the years. So a cup run would be nice, but I think a second place finish is a minimum, or it should be a minimum. This season we've shown more than enough to suggest that we're capable of that. Despite all the disruption and all the injuries, we're still only sitting 3 points behind Aberdeen with a much better goal difference. We should be ahead of them. Even if you look at some of the games where we've dropped points, in the way that things have went against us with refereeing decisions and stuff, we should already be ahead of them. We should be ahead of them by the end of the season. That would be success for me, to the end of this season. Overall, this time next year, I hope we can see some serious progression in the infrastructure of the club and the things that we've brought in terms of, Mark Allen's role as director of football, the scouting system that we've brought in now, the fact that we've changed the challenge that we give our youth players. I would hope to be able to see signs of that progressing. I think it will take a few years to really bear fruit, but in the 12 months, I would hope we would be able to see that our scouting team have identified some promising signings, and the youth players, we've got another McCrory, maybe another couple of McCrorys sitting waiting to come through because they've kicked on in the last 12 months. But on the field, basically, let's sort the managerial position out. I don't think it will be Murty long term, personally. So let's get that right in the summer. Make at least a bit of a stab at the Europa League qualifiers, if we're going to get put out early, let's be put out by a team who are better than us. Yeah. You know what I mean? For once, just for a change, Rangers try and get out in the qualifiers to a team you should get beat by. And yeah, hopefully the next time, 12 months, when we're talking about how the years went and how things are going, we're sitting a bit closer to the top of the league, and we've seen serious signs of things progressing.
Adam?
Yeah, quite similar, to be honest. I think we should definitely be aiming for a comfortable sixth place. I don't think that's outlive the realms of possibility this year. And I would probably go one further and say I would be not expecting, but I think for it to be a successful season, or a good season at least, I would like to see us go on and win the Scottish Cup if we can. I think that will get a few monkeys off our back. It will be the first kind of major trophy since we came back up, and it will also, I would imagine, at some point involve us playing and defeating Celtic again. So that would be quite a good barometer for us, and it will be quite a good litmus test for Murty as well. So I'd like to see that. I guess that takes us to the end of the season. I'd like us to see, as Alex alluded to, the whole Mark Allen thing. I'm hoping those rumours that we heard before Christmas are going to disappear, and the guy gets a chance to carry on and do his job. We need 2 solid windows, January and the summer, of getting rid of the players that we don't think are performing and bringing in a good mix of experienced players with time on their side, players that are around about the 22, 23 mark that we can look to harvest for a couple of years and get a decent sell on for. We need to get those kind of players in now. We've started it a little bit with Morelos, and we're seeing McCrory coming through, and maybe Murphy will be an experienced head, but I'd like us to see us more going down that defined strategy, and I'd like to have an inkling of that certainly by the 1st of September. Moving into Europe, I agree with Alex again. I would like us to go as far as we can. Into the Europa League group stages would probably be, for me, above expectations, if I'm honest. Again, depending on how those 2 windows go, we just need to wait and see. But I think that's what I'm looking for the next 12 months.
Well, I would echo what you both say in terms of on the field, so I'll concentrate more on off the field. We need to get the management situation sorted out for once and forever, and I agree. I think it will be sorted out in the summer in terms of if Murty if Graham Murty has gone on to do what we would like and have that successful season, then he probably will stay. If not, we will know for certain he isn't the right man and he won't. So I really want that done. Off the field, I hope the board realise the damage that they've done to the relationship with the support in the last 12 months, because I don't think they do at the moment, and it's not unsalvageable, but they have to first realise that there is a problem and then deal with it, and I hope that they realise that their manner was a huge part in burning a lot of goodwill unnecessarily, and I think that if they can start to try and rebuild that trust, and if they can start to try and get the people back on side with them, then that augurs well for everybody. That's a no-lose situation for everyone at the club if they can do that and start to remember that the support, I think they took them a little bit for granted this year. I do. I think that the hierarchy at the club developed a bit of a siege mentality against the wrong people. I think that they began to become dismissive, which is a common problem when people reach power, that the people who helped get them there start to say, right, well, now you need to deliver all the stuff you were going to do, and they don't see the day-to-day issues the way the people inside do, and the people inside can quite often start to go, they don't know what they're talking about, and begin to take them for granted and think, well, it doesn't really matter what they think anyway, they're going to support us regardless. So I hope the board address that. I hope the Mark Allen situation, absolutely, the board decide that they're either in this or they're not, and that they stop trying to do this thing of having a toe in the water but not fully committing. You either believe in that structure or you don't, and you have to make your mind up, because a 50-50 will not work for anybody. And I hope for the success that we fans deserve, and I do believe we deserve it for all we've put up with, and I would say that to me would be my main hopes for 2018. So that's all from us this week, folks. Just to let you know, there'll be another pod this week, Thursday or Friday, where we'll deal with a lot more of the transfer rumours in depth and a look at what we feel the squad requires. If you want to catch up with us on a daily basis, then you can do so. You just need to go to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/Heart and Hand, and we're putting up on average 2 shows a day, and there's a real glut coming out in the next few days. If you miss Scott and you miss Sporting Integrity, there was a whole Sporting Integrity show went up on New Year's Day. That's the place to find the big man. It's kind of like when one of these casinos in Vegas hires someone to do an exclusive run monthly session. That's what we've done with Scott, so you'll find him there. But apart from that, I'd just like to thank our producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Mr. Paul Myers. My guests today, I thought excellent job from both of them. First of all, Alex Staff.
Thanks, David. Thanks as well, Adam, and cheers for anyone that's listening.
And where can they find you on the Twitter and elsewhere, Alex?
Okay, on Twitter I'm at Strider80, and for the blog sites, which isn't just myself, and there's some cracking content from a number of people. There is rangersnews.uk and fourladshadadream.wordpress.com.
There's an interview with me going up on the Four Lads Had a Dream site, and without wishing to, in any way come across as arrogant or anything, it's fucking brilliant. I mean, I
wouldn't expect anything less.
I am so good. So, it is worth checking out, folks. And a great solid debut today from Adam Thornton.
Thanks, David.
And where can they get in touch with you?
You can get me on Twitter at Adamski152, and after that shameless plug earlier on, if anyone's got Bill Leckie's Max.com password, then send it over.
Thank you very much for listening. If you want to talk to me, I'm just at IbroxRocks on Twitter, or you can come to the Facebook page. Just search for Heart and Hand the Rangers podcast on Facebook, and up we will pop. My name's David Edgar, wishing all of you nothing but success. I hope you prosper, I hope our team wins, and I hope 2018 is everything that we deserve, because we are the people. Thank you very much for listening. Talk to you again soon. Bye.